All right, welcome to Critical Weight Theory. And I'm going to be talking about Harry Partch today. So, if you've never heard of Harry Partch's Delusion of the Theory, you're not alone. Even among people who follow contemporary avant garde music or experimental theater, it's a piece that sits a little off to the side, I think. But for those who do know it, it's often described as the culmination of an entire life's work. I first heard of Harry Partch on a compilation of unusual musical instruments titled Gravichords, Whirlies, and Pyrophones. It's a really nice compilation, and you get to hear some really odd tracks. And Harry Partch's material, it's explored a little bit on it. It's got one track from him on there. And Delusion of the Fury is a music theater work by the American composer Harry Partch. That's right, he is from America. And he lived from 1901 to 1974, so he was a little bit before my time. And Delusion of the Fury premiered in 1969 at the UCLA Playhouse, and it's one of the most unusual theatrical works of the 20th century. Calling it an opera doesn't quite fit. It's staged, it's theatrical, and there's music throughout, but it doesn't act like an opera. There's no traditional libretto. There are singers, but they don't sing arias. There's drama, but it's closer to ritual than narrative theater. And Partch described his work as corporeal music. By that, he meant music that, it isn't something abstract that floats above the body. It's physical. It involves movement, gesture, space, breath, and presence. And Delusion of the Fury, sound and physical action are inseparable, or at least that's one way of looking at it. And the piece unfolds in two acts, each drawn from a very different source. The first act is based on Japanese no drama, often associated with the story of Atsumori. It centers on a warrior who has killed another man in battle, and years later, he's haunted by guilt and remorse. The dead man appears as a ghost, along with the ghost's son, and the drama becomes a confrontation between violence, memory, and the possibility of reconciliation. And you can watch this on YouTube if you want. That's one of the places where you can see it. And there's something slow about it. It's ritualized and solemn. It all seems highly controlled. Emotions aren't spelled out through language so much as embodied through gestures, rhythm, and the sound. So the focus isn't on plot twists, but on the inner state of the characters and the weight of unresolved anger and other emotions. And the second act shifts completely in tone. It's based on Ethiopian folk tales and a misunderstanding between a deaf man and an old woman who's searching for her lost goat. Yep, it's a it's one of those old tales that we've all heard. And because they can't understand each other, the characters in this act, the situation spirals out of control. What starts as a simple encounter turns into a chaotic village ritual, and it's like a trial full of accusations, confusion, and absurd logic. So the act is comic, exaggerated, and deliberately ridiculous. Some fun things to see, most certainly. Authority figures bicker, justice becomes performative, everyone is certain they're right, even as the situation collapses into nonsense, and you have some unusual music to accompany it. So, put together, the two acts form a single arc, and Partch described the work as an exploration of the delusory nature and futility of human anger. First, anger appears as tragedy, then it reappears as farce. And in both cases, it's shown to be destructive and self defeating. So it's It's a bit of a moral tale, really. And rather than offering a neat moral, however, Delusion of the Fury suggests that reconciliation uh, can be approximated through failure. The tragic collapses under its own weight, and the comic undoes itself through excess, and what's left is the possibility of some type of release. And musically, the piece is just as unconventional as its story structure. Harry Partch rejected the standard 12-tone tuning system used in Western music. Instead, he worked in something that's called just intonation, building a scale with 43 tones to the octave. To play this music, he had to invent his own musical instruments, and that's something that he's most famous for. Delusion of the Fury uses one of the largest ensembles of Partch's custom built instruments ever assembled. Instruments like the Cremelodion, the Cloud Chamber Bowls, the Quadrangularis Reversum, and the Mazda Marimba. They're unusual sound sources. They're also visual objects on the stage, and performers move among them. Sometimes they play them, sometimes they seem to be a part of the drama in an unusual way. And Partch once described himself as a philosophic music man seduced into carpentry, and that spirit is, a part of this piece as well. It's a unique musical adventure, I suppose, in a way, because it incorporates these uh, inventions that he crafted to match his musical ideas. And the instruments are handcrafted, the tuning is precise and strange, and the sound world feels ancient and unfamiliar, even though the work is actually also, in some ways, firmly modern. Because of all this, Delusion of the Fury is incredibly difficult to stage. It requires specialized instruments, like I said earlier, and performers need to be trained in the movement as well as music, and they need a willingness to abandon conventional theatrical expectations. And as a result, it's been produced only rarely since its premiere. And there have been some notable revivals that have taken place in New York in 2007. There was a European, not a European tour in 2013 through 2014, and it's taken place in cities like Paris